Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
Anti-vaccine striker. Democrats say the budget is essential to combat federal uncertainty, while Republicans argue the tax hikes are indefensible.
That's right. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost begins our coverage live in Annapolis.
And Mackenzie, it's been a busy few hours. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Maxine and Guy, it has been a busy few hours. Lawmakers are still in the chambers in both the House and the Senate behind me. Coming into this session, the budget was really the biggest issue for lawmakers to tackle. Now this plan is on its way to the governor's desk, and in addition to the cuts, it includes $1.6 billion in taxes. Meanwhile, Governor Wes Moore continues to defend the details.
Clerk will read the bill.
On the final day of the 90-day legislative session, the House and Senate giving the budget plan a final stamp of approval. Despite $1.6 billion in taxes, Governor Wes Moore stands by the details. What do you say to Marylanders who are going to have to reach into their pockets and pay the additional taxes and fees that have just been passed?
Well, I'd say that we walked into this session dealing with an inherited structural deficit, and we're going to leave session with a surplus. And I'm going to say to middle-class families, you're just getting a tax cut. Governor Moore telling me more than $2.5 billion were cut while providing tax breaks. But Marylanders are now facing a vending machine tax, a tire tax, a rental car tax, higher vehicle excise taxes. Plus, the state is implementing a new 3% tech tax. Is it really fair to say that 94% of people will see no change or a tax break in their income taxes when they will have to be paying these other taxes and fees? I think it's absolutely fair, because I think it's the numbers. I think, especially when you consider what's happening on the federal level, the fact that this state can say the governor's making sure that he's holding firm on his promise of getting the middle class a tax cut. I think people can, and people do feel thankful for that.
People will still see the headlines with $1.6 billion in tax increases, though. Do you think that they really will be thankful for a government who is taxing them more, given the fact that we are seeing all of the other federal actions?
I think you are watching a state government that is giving the middle class a tax cut in this moment. I think you are going to watch a state government that's about to do the largest amount of cuts to a Maryland state budget that we have seen literally in over a generation. And so I think people are seeing that this is not just what fiscal discipline looks like, this is what good governance looks like, and how to properly maintain a balance sheet.
Do you think that it is good governance to pass a tech tax when we're hearing from all of the budget leaders say we're going to have to figure out later who actually pays it, who it applies to, and how the state's going to really capture this revenue?
Well, I think what you're looking at is how can you make sure that you are modernizing a tax code, because there's no one who looks at Maryland's tax code and says this thing makes sense. And when you look at the data tax that's added in, which again is modernizing our tax code, there are carve-outs for the industries that I think are really our lighthouse industries, things like quantum and AI and IP.
If these projections of the anticipation of all of these new taxes and generating for the state don't bear out, and it's lower than expected, do you think that we'll be here next year looking and having the same conversation, looking at new ways to generate taxes, especially during an election year?
No, I think the thing we've got to focus on is growth. We've got to grow this economy. If we're not growing the economy, we're just simply talking about managing decline. And I refuse to stand here and manage decline. We inherited an economy that essentially had flatlined. That's what created the structural deficit that we ended up inheriting. And when you have that, you then are just basically trying to cut your way to prosperity.
But do you think that you're going to grow the economy by implementing all of these other taxes that could potentially push the job creators out of Maryland?
You're going to grow the economy by doing things like we just did, which is essentially putting over $130 million into advancing new industries, into growing the economy, into incentivizing businesses to be able to come and grow and stay here.
What if these policies and this growth plan, what if this gamble doesn't work?
Listen, I worked on Wall Street and in finance, so I understand how finances work. I was a small business owner. I understand how to meet payroll. I ran one of the largest poverty-fighting organizations in this country. I understand data. These type of investments are the exact kind of investments that our state needs to make in order to spurn measurements of economic growth, so we can increase the top line, we can control our spending. If we do those two things, this economy will grow, and it needs to.
Now, I asked the governor multiple times about the reality that Marylanders will be facing new and higher taxes, but the governor would not directly answer it. Instead, each time pivoting and pointing to policies happening at the federal level. Hey, I'm Mackenzie Frost. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Check out Fox Baltimore on all of our social media pages for more videos just like this.